Good evening and happy International Women's Day. It is March 8th and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyperlocal news that matters. I'm Lauren Williamson. In a joint meeting with the Bylaw Charter Review Committee, the Harwich Select Board discussed suggested updates to the town charter and bylaws. On a proposal to update a bylaw that would require specific financial documentation to be provided by the Select Board for the annual town meeting, board member Michael McCaskill accused the committee of pursuing the bylaw change based on personal opinions of the town administration.
I don't see why the board, and we've done this through the current town administrator over the past few years, we've added more and more to the information in the book. To put it in the charter, and I'm just going to say it, I believe that there's members of the charter bylaw review that are doing this because of their opinion of the current town administrator, and I don't support this whatsoever.
And I take umbrage at that, Mr. McCaskill.
That's fine.
Stop that. I mean, we have to, these things are not being done because somebody has a bone to pick. We are doing things on an upward level, things that we think, and it's also not a charter change, it's a bylaw change. I think that's saying that people can find it if they want to. Why not just put it out there in the warrant so people don't have to find it if they want to?
I believe you with what you just said. There's information out there, written, public, and a quest that contradicts what you just said, and I'll leave it at that.
Fine.
And I do believe that that would be a board discussion. Doesn't have to be a bylaw change, because that is micromanaging in the bylaw. That could be a board policy or a board vote without trying to add this to that document and have that information available. So as far as a bylaw change, all I'm saying is I don't support it because I don't think it needs to be in that document.
At a meeting a couple of weeks ago, I asked for what was in the $16 million of local receipts, and there was nothing anywhere, and it came out, I think, 2 weeks later. There's the 16 million, great, but that wasn't in the, so I had to ask, I did ask for that publicly, and eventually it did show up. So I'm not sure that this information is that readily available.
I don't like to memorialize more and more in a bylaw when I think it can be covered in a policy, and I think when we're going to town meeting, when we're saying certainly certain people are more attuned, I would say yourselves included and us, are more attuned to all the different financials. I would say that there's a lot of people who aren't, right? And so, loading the warrant with all this excess information, we may love it, but I don't think it's necessary because we know where to get it. To everybody's point, nobody's hiding anything. Everything's in packets, public packets. We sat here Saturday talking about numbers and we're poring over them. Some of them for the first time that we're really delving into. So to have a bylaw and feel like we're even backed further into a process of trying to meet all these deadlines, it's difficult enough. So I just don't see the need for a bylaw to add more.
Would it be possible just to put the anticipated receipts in there? That is already existing information. And while I agree with you that this information is in packets, you end up with a packet that has 300 pages in it. The average person isn't going to look through that. But getting the final numbers in the warrant, even for receipts, where does the money come from? I think would be an incredibly important thing to do. Because it's not just for the few people who might understand it. It's providing the information so that our public can educate themselves.
Linda, thank you. You made a great argument. And it's something that I think that we should bring forward as a board to make a request and try and get that information into the warrant as much as we can. But I still do not believe that we need to add to a bylaw. But I hear you, and there's really no reason why we can't ask for that to be in the warrant or in addition to the warrant on a one-pager, as Jeff said. So I'm good with that.
All in favor? 0-4.
Happy National County Government Month. To celebrate, Barnstable County is having a Cape Cod photo contest. The theme is connecting, inspiring, and leading. Submit your best photos of the Cape that represent the land, history, and landmarks and individuality and cohesiveness of the area. Submission deadline is April 5th and judging begins April 10th. For more information, you can head to capecod.gov/photo-contest. Join Special Olympics Massachusetts for the Harwich Polar Plunge at Red River Beach. Check-in is at 10 a.m. on March 16th and sign up beforehand at polarplungema.org. The Special Olympics was founded in 1968 and has been fostering the acceptance and inclusion of all people for over 5 decades. All donations go to Special Olympics Massachusetts to continue providing year-round sports training and athletic competition for children and adults with intellectual disabilities. Eversource and National Grid have requested permission from the state to raise electricity rates to accommodate the growing demand of wind and solar power. The two companies are requesting the rate raise in order to gain approximately $2.4 billion over the next 5 years to go towards the conversion to the power grid for increased renewable energy production. As more renewable energy projects gear up in accordance with the United States goal of 100% clean electricity by 2035, New England's grid will require hefty investments to accommodate the changes in electricity flows. Despite the need for more renewable energy sources, a nationwide analysis conducted by USA Today shows that more and more local governments are banning wind and solar power faster than they're building it. Bans, moratoriums, and construction impediments are happening at least 15% of counties in the United States. With 60% of the county's energy coming from fossil fuels, the U.S. Energy Information Administration's report show that the United States is not currently on track to hit our clean energy goals. While 183 counties got their first commercial wind power project in the last decade, 375 counties have blocked wind power development. Despite the rise in bans, as experts say, the U.S. can still reach its goal by 2035. However, it will be much more costly. This past Tuesday, Rob Faley, the director of the Chatham DPW, gave a drinking water quality update to the town's select board. During his presentation, Faley revealed that small amounts of PFAS contaminants were detected in water coming from one of the town's wells, but assured the select board and Chatham's residents that the town's water is safe.
Big thing I want to discuss with you is water sampling. First quarter samples for PFAS-6 were taken. We did get a positive hit for PFAS in the finished water at the Morton Road treatment plant. I want to assure the select board and town residents that Chatham's water is safe. We did look at what the numbers were. We got the initial hit. We went out, we took a confirmation sample. We isolated it to well 6. It was still below Mass DEP standards, and it was still below the proposed EPA standards that haven't gotten into effect yet. So it was a pretty low level of PFAS. But we were able to adjust some of the flows between wells 6, 7, and 9, and the finished water coming out of the Morton Road treatment plant is non-detect. So all the water feeding town residents does not have any detectable PFAS in it.
So the original detect was below 4?
The original,
That's the proposed federal, I think.
that's the
isn't it?
proposed value, 4 parts per trillion. The original detect at the raw water was slightly higher than that. But we did a confirmation test, because we never rely on a single test. The confirmation test was below 4.
That was at the finish,
That was at the raw water.
at the raw water?
Right.
Okay. All right, thank
The
you.
finished water never went slightly above 2.
Okay, thank you.
Coming up after the break, the Dennis special town meeting. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Lauren Williamson. On February 29th, the town of Dennis held a special town meeting where 5 articles were proposed and voted on. Among the 5 articles, 2 stood out and sparked some discussion within the community. Article 1 proposed 3 new fees and proposed increasing another fee above the current town's bylaw limitations. One of these fees specifically targeted the town's short-term rentals. In a separate article, Article 3 proposed the town's purchase of the property located at 187 Upper County Road. While no plans for the property have been settled on, many residents spoke in favor of this article because of the potential uses for the property. Here's a brief look at what happened.
Article 1 is asking you to approve 3 new fees for services and to increase 1 fee above the fee limitation bylaw. The town of Dennis, like most communities on the Cape here, are dealing with an unprecedented surge in our short-term rentals, and you'll see that the first one is a short-term rental registration fee. So these new rates of $250 in the first year and $500 in the second year are new rates. The second one is the daily parking fee. It's just an increase from $12 to $20. The third is slip holder dock box. I'll explain that because I didn't have the faintest idea what that was when I saw it. That is recommended by the Harbor Committee, and that is on the docks where boat owners put their large boxes to store items. And the third one, which is a new fee, the demolition debris, asphalt, brick, concrete, etc., is a $20 fee. All of the municipalities surround us have been charging, and we have not been charging. So what has happened is the contractors have felt that was a better deal not to pay, and they decided to come to Dennis. So in order to meet our obligation to have the landfill pay for itself to the best ability, we'll be instituting a new fee of $20. So we ask you to support this article as it's printed, and I'd like to thank the Finance Committee for their support.
3 years ago, we got hit with 14.5% tax increase for rentals that we had to charge our tenants. This year, you're taking the rental fee from $50 to $100. Already you've doubled. And now you want us to also pay at $250 this year and $500 next year for this same few weeks that we rent. I don't know why. Dennis, the tourist industry is what the town survives on, the restaurants, the hotels and that. We don't want to scare the tourists away. We need them. And adding this much fee is a burden to the small summer rental person.
Those in favor will indicate by raising your right hand, showing your orange voter tag. Those opposed will indicate by raising your right hand, showing your orange tag. As there were 169 in favor, 87 opposed, the motion is adopted.
The property on Upper County Road, commonly referred to as the church property, will be a great purchase for the town of Dennis. We have enough free cash to purchase this property with no tax burden on the citizens. The price was originally $3.6 million, so the final purchase price of $2.3 million is a good deal for the town, especially considering there were much higher offers for it, but the Diocese of Fall River wanted to sell it to the town, as they said we would be better stewards of the property, and we thank them for that. The town and select board have purposely not made any decisions of yet of what to do with the property, as this will occur after we, as a town, decide to purchase the property. The property can be used for open space, recreation, and/or housing. There will be plenty of time at future meetings to weigh in on what use or uses is best for this property and Dennisport as a whole. Thank you, and I hope you join the entire Select Board and a majority of the Finance Committee in approving the purchase of this property.
I actually live a stone's throw from the property that we're talking about, and I would urge everybody in this room to vote yes on this article. I happen to live in a home that has a backyard, but has been discussed in prior select board meetings. There are many units, either rentals or condominiums, that are, again, a stone's throw, a block away from that property, and those people have absolutely nothing. This is an opportunity for people to have a physical space to gather in, for children to perhaps play where they have no green space currently. The kids in my neighborhood play in parking lots as it stands. That's not healthy. It's good for physical health
and it is especially good for the mental health of the people that live in that neighborhood. I urge you all to vote for it.
I think there's two options here, folks. We have the opportunity to buy one of the very few pieces of land left in Dennisport, or choose not to and allow a private developer to come in and have his way or her way because of 40B. Those are the two choices. Whether or not we have green space or community center or parking spaces are all great ideas that should be a part of the conversation once we own the property. If we don't own the property, the rest of it is moot, and we lose another piece of property in our town. I rise in support of voting for the town purchasing this property because it's the right thing to do for the community, and it's the right thing to do, as you heard, for the children in the area.
Those in favor will indicate by raising your right hand, showing your orange voter tag. Those opposed will indicate by raising your right hand, showing your orange tag. As there were 243 in favor, 18 opposed, the requisite 2/3 is met, and the motion is adopted.
The Cultural Center of Cape Cod is seeking submissions for Autonomous, an AI-generated exhibit. It's going to be running from April 7th to the 27th. The exhibit invites you to explore the boundaries of art and challenge traditional notions of technology, from digital paintings to sculptures. Submissions are due Friday, March 15th, and require a $25 entry fee. Jurors John Stringfellow and Val Garisher will pick one work to be awarded Best in Show, receiving a $1,000 cash prize. To learn more about how to enter, visit cultural-center.org. Turkey mating season is here. From now until May, be wary of aggressive and stubborn male turkeys, often found attacking reflective surfaces like cars. Agitated turkeys can be deterred with water, strong odors, or loud noises. If you find yourself targeted by a stubborn turkey, try spraying their feet with water if you have access to a hose, or stomping in their direction. If this is a recurrent problem near your home, you can apply diluted essential oils like peppermint, lemon, or citronella to the area, or put flags, balloons, or decoys in your yard to ward them off. Most importantly, do not feed the turkeys. Feeding turkeys and other wildlife establishes comfortability with humans and can even encourage aggressive behavior. On Wednesday the 6th, Barnstable police responded to a call at a home on St. Francis Circle in Hyannis regarding an adult male holding his mother at knife point. The caller told police that himself, his mother, and another woman barricaded themselves in a room together while the suspect was in another part of the house with access to firearms. Police and SWAT arrived on scene and were able to remove the family from their barricaded room through a window and began negotiating with the suspect. The suspect, 30-year-old Justin Moriera, began firing on SWAT team's ballistic vehicle as BPD's negotiations and a mental health clinician attempted to convince Moriera to leave the home peacefully. After 7 hours of negotiations, a specialty ballistic demolition vehicle called a Bearcat arrived on scene and was used to forcibly encourage Moriera to exit the residence. Thankfully, no one was injured during this event. Moriera is currently held at the Barnstable Police Department on several counts of attempted murder and firearms charges. Coming up after the break, you don't want to miss Mid-Cape politics and sports. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Lauren Williamson. A lot has been going on in the world of politics this week, and our news director, Mitch Sock, has more.
Thanks, Lauren. It's been a busy week in politics, not just on the national level, but locally as well. While it's apparent we are headed towards a rematch of the 2020 presidential election, much more contested races were happening locally across the state, as well as some new and familiar faces throwing their hats into the ring for this fall's election cycle. So first up, the Republican State Committee. It's made up of one man and one woman from each of the 40 Senate districts in the state. Some of the basic responsibilities of the State Committee are to organize town committees, recruit candidates, and to fundraise. All 80 seats are up for grabs every 4 years, and in this cycle, almost half of the members chose not to run for re-election. This presented a perfect opportunity for those that feel the Mass GOP has lost sight of conservative values and put forth the Massachusetts Freedom Slate. This highlights a split in the Mass GOP between the establishment Republicans and the MAGA Republicans. In the Cape and Islands District, the husband and wife team of Will and Judy Crocker have been committee man and woman for years now. And to MAGA Republicans like challengers Darrellyn Haywood and Michael Arnold, the Crockers represent an establishment GOP that is not interested in advancing the Republican Party within the state. Here's a clip of Haywood and Arnold in their own words.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Arnold,
Darrellyn Haywood.
running for state committee man and woman for the Cape and Islands District.
We're looking to build a Republican Party that you can be proud of. I don't know if you can be proud of the unwritten rule in losing the DA's office, the sheriff's office, the state senate, and a state rep seat.
When the Republican committee man and woman fight hard to win an election, in our district, the only one they're fighting hard to win is their own election. They have outspent us, I would say 10-1.
At least. And have you ever seen them fight so hard for any other candidate?
Only for them, only for themselves.
Yeah. And there's signs everywhere. It's got to be, you can only put signs on people's property that say you can put signs on.
Correct. But I'm wondering, why are they outspending us 10-1 for a volunteer position? If there's no monies to be made, why would you spend that kind of money?
I have my ideas.
Well, I have some suspicions too, but once we find the receipts, you'll all know the answer to that.
Definitely, because we are going to bring truth and transparency, and we're going to work with tenacity to represent the citizens of the Cape and Islands.
At every level, every citizen and of the Republican Party, the Independent Party, everybody at school, we're coming to fight and bring candidates to fight for you.
For the whole entire Cape and Islands. That's your education, your police. You know, when the Crockers say that they're going to reduce crime and illegal immigration and all those other things, you know, I advocated to reduce crime for 25 years and serve my country, and you know, we both teach people about the Constitution. So, you know, we've been doing our part. We don't have to make up stories about things and how we've, you know, fabricated. We don't have to fabricate anything.
And we're true grassroots activists. We don't have to claim to be the new Republican activists.
Right, the new leadership.
We don't have to make those false
Because
claims.
there's been leadership for the last 12 years. So if you could reduce crime and illegal immigration and cure childhood diseases, why wouldn't you have already done that?
Yeah. Lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Exactly. So get out of the way.
Haywood and Arnold ultimately lost their bid to oust the Crockers, showing that on the Cape and Islands at least, Republican voters lean more towards the establishment GOP. But speaking of MAGA Republicans, a familiar face has decided to run once again for county commissioner. Ronald Beatty, in an email to the Barnstable town clerk, requested nomination papers last week, stating, "Since there do not presently appear to be any other interested parties, then I will tentatively take this step." Beatty, who won a seat as county commissioner in 2016 but was unable to win re-election, also ran in the 2022 midterm cycle against Ronald Bergstrom, but was ultimately unsuccessful. According to his post on his Twitter account, Beatty is now collecting the required 500 signatures for a nomination. Beatty also has signed the Moms for Liberty Parental Pledge. By signing the pledge, he says, "I pledge to honor the fundamental rights of parents, including but not limited to the right to direct the education, medical care, and moral upbringing of their children. I pledge to advance policies that strengthen parental involvement and decision-making, increase transparency, defend against government overreach, and secure parental rights at all levels of government." Moms for Liberty is a conservative political organization with chapters all over the country. They aim to fight for the survival of America by unifying, educating, and empowering parents to defend their parental rights at all levels of government. And lastly this week, Osterville resident Suzanne Conley, co-founder of Save Greater Dowses Beach, has pulled nomination papers to run as a Republican opponent in the 2nd Barnstable District against incumbent Kip Diggs. Conley has been a vocal opponent of offshore wind, and we hope to interview her about her campaign soon. That's going to do it this week in Mid-Cape Politics. Back to you, Lauren.
And finally, we send it to Ryan Downs for a Mid-Cape Sports Wrap-Up.
Thanks, Lauren. Survive and Advance has been the name of the game for our Cape teams these past 2 weeks as the MIAA postseason continues. Let's start off with the Nauset Monomoy girls hockey program, as they have secured a spot in the MIAA Division II Elite 8 for the first time in its history. The number 4 ranked Warriors achieved this milestone after a 4-0 victory over the number 13 Sandwich Blue Knights in the Sweet 16 on Sunday. The match against Sandwich saw an early lead, as Nauset Monomoy's Julia Kipperman scored within the first 3 minutes. Then Sienna Reeves followed up and extended the lead to 2-0 on a power play to close out the first period. In the second period, Sophia Boucher tacked on a shorthanded goal, making it 3-0. And in the third period, Gabby Bassett put an exclamation point on the game as she scored an empty net goal, sealing the victory with a final score of 4-0. Nauset Monomoy traveled to the Bog in Kingston to take on the number 5 ranked Algonquin team. The game, which extended into overtime, ended with a final score of Algonquin 2, Nauset 1. The first and second periods of the match were marked by a defensive struggle, with both teams showcasing the skills of their goalies. Despite multiple power plays for Nauset in the second period, the teams remained deadlocked at 0-0. And in the third period, Algonquin broke the stalemate first with a goal, going ahead 1-0 with 13 minutes left. However, Nauset fought back in Carly Brand's shorthanded breakaway goal with 4:48 remaining in regulation, tied the game at 1-1, forcing the contest into overtime. In the overtime period, Algonquin achieved victory with a goal, ending Nauset's historic run in the Elite Eight. Congratulations to the Nauset Monomoy team and all their success this season. Moving right along with hockey, there was 4 schools in Massachusetts that have both the boys and girls teams still standing at the start of the MIAA quarterfinals. Those schools being Hingham, Duxbury, Marshfield, and our very own Nauset. And oddly enough, none on either side are playing each other. But anyways, back to Nauset, as the boys hockey team also had a pair of games this past week. In a too close for comfort match, the number 1 ranked Nauset boys hockey team beat the number 17 ranked Marlborough team in a 2-1 game that unfolded with high intensity and late game drama. The first period concluded with both teams scoreless, with the shots on goal favoring Marlborough 9-8. And in the second period, Nauset's Colin Ward capitalized on a power play opportunity, unleashing a low shot from the outside the faceoff circle with 3:25 left. The goal gave the Warriors a 1-0 lead. And in the final minutes of the second period, Marlborough netted the equalizer, tying the score at 1 apiece with 1:28 left to play. And just 15 seconds later, Nauset's Julian Krivos responded, scoring a goal and reclaiming the lead, leaving the score at 2-1 heading into the final break. The third period, Nauset hung tough and successfully defended their lead, with a 2-1 victory over Marlborough. Nauset advances to the quarterfinals, where they face number 8 Pembroke on Thursday night at 6:30 at the Gallo Ice Arena in Bourne. Unfortunately, it takes place after our taping of this episode, so we'll have to come back to that one next week. The number 15th ranked Monomoy boys basketball team had a busy week too, starting off with a round of 32 matchup versus the number 18th ranked Cathedral team last Friday, who they hosted in their own gym. The first quarter set the tone with both teams going basket for basket, ending up at 15 points each. And in the second quarter, Monomoy went on an 11-2 run in the last 5 minutes of the half to give them the lead at 28-22. And it was pretty much wraps from there, as the Sharks had the most productive scoring quarters during the second half, scoring 17 in the third and 21 in the fourth. The final score was 66-51 Monomoy, with large contributions coming from juniors Finn Hyora, who scored all 16 of his points in the second half, and Jackson Rocco as the game's top scorer with 26. Then, on Tuesday night, the boys traveled to take on the number 2 ranked Bourne team. The gym was absolutely packed with people lined up underneath both hoops. The Bourne student section was dressed in a jersey theme, and Monomoy in beach attire, creating an electric atmosphere. The first quarter concluded with Bourne holding a slim lead of 10-8. The second quarter saw a quick surge from Bourne, bringing the score 17-8, which made Monomoy take a timeout. The Sharks settled in a bit, but Bourne maintained control, leading 28-20 at halftime. The Sharks came out of the half ready to battle, narrowing the gap in the third quarter to 39-37. The real drama started in the final minutes of regulation, with Bourne holding a 48-46 lead. As tension rose, through a huge three-pointer, the Sharks secured a 53-51 lead with under 10 seconds left. The game headed into overtime at 53-53. In the 4-minute overtime, Bourne outscored the Sharks 8-0 and sealed the victory at 61-53. Congratulations to the Monomoy boys on a great season. And that's all for this week's sports update. Back to you, Lauren.
Thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a story that you'd like to see covered, send us an email at newstip@capemedia.org. Tune in every week for more hyperlocal news that matters on Channel 26, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media, including Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. For Cape Media News, as always, I'm Lauren Williamson.